Welcome back to Game Gazers, where we dive deep into the most anticipated and compelling games on the market. Today, we're taking a long-awaited journey into Dragon's Dogma 2, the sequel to one of the most unique RPGs ever made. Fans have waited over a decade for Capcom to return to this dark, immersive fantasy world. And from what we've seen so far, Dragon's Dogma 2 is shaping up to be a game-changer in the RPG genre. But how does it compare to its predecessor? What new features elevate it beyond the original? And most importantly, does it have what it takes to stand out in a post-Elden Ring world? Stick around as we break down the world design, combat mechanics, pawn systems, story, and everything else that makes Dragon's Dogma 2 a true next-gen RPG. Let's get into it. One of the defining elements of Dragon's Dogma was its semi-open world, which encouraged exploration but never truly embraced the fully open-world formula. In Dragon's Dogma 2, Capcom is expanding that vision, offering a more dense, lived-in world that reacts to the player's actions. Gone are the days of generic fantasy landscapes. This time around, the world feels more organic and dangerous. Roads aren't just empty paths. They're places where merchants, bandits, and mythical creatures roam. Every journey from town to town is an adventure in itself, demanding careful resource management and tactical thinking. One of the biggest improvements is how NPCs interact with the world. Towns feel alive, with characters going about their daily lives, responding to your presence, and even remembering past encounters. This isn't just window dressing. It affects quests, world building, and how the story unfolds. In terms of exploration, Dragon's Dogma 2 keeps the signature lack of fast travel, a controversial but beloved design choice. The game demands that you earn every inch of your progress. Roads are treacherous, and nightfall brings even greater dangers. If you're not prepared with enough resources or a strong party, you're in for a rough time. It's a bold move that few modern RPGs dare to take, making exploration feel rewarding rather than routine. If there's one thing that set Dragon's Dogma apart from other RPGs, it was the fluid, high-impact combat system. Dragon's Dogma 2 takes that foundation and refines it, making battles even more dynamic and rewarding. The class system, known as vocations, is back, with both returning and new options to explore. Each vocation offers a drastically different playstyle, from the fast and agile thief to the heavy-hitting mystic spear hand. But what makes combat in Dragon's Dogma 2 truly special is how physics and interactivity play a role. This feature returns, allowing players to grapple onto towering monsters, stab at weak points, and dodge attacks midair. It's still one of the most exhilarating combat mechanics in any RPG. You can use the world to your advantage, knocking enemies off cliffs, setting fire to explosive barrels, or even leading monsters into battles with each other. Enemies aren't just cannon fodder. They adapt, use teamwork, and force you to think strategically. A simple goblin horde can overwhelm an unprepared player, while a cyclops might shake off weak attacks and retaliate with brutal force. These elements make Dragon's Dogma 2 feel less like a traditional RPG and more like a true action-adventure experience, where skill matters as much as stats. One of the most iconic and ambitious features of Dragon's Dogma was the pawn system, and in the sequel, it's getting even more sophisticated. For those unfamiliar, pawns are AI-controlled companions that act as your party members. What makes them unique is that they learn from their experiences, not just with you, but also when shared online with other players. In Dragon's Dogma 2, the AI has been overhauled to make pawns more independent and tactical. They'll analyze enemy attack patterns, suggest strategies, and even adapt to different terrains and situations. If a pawn has fought a particular boss before, they'll offer advice on his weaknesses. If they've spent time in a dungeon, they might even lead you through it instead of waiting for commands. Customization is deeper than ever. Players can fine-tune their pawn's personality, making them more aggressive, defensive, or supportive. This makes every pawn feel like a true adventuring companion, rather than just an AI follower. The pawn system is a rare example of multiplayer mechanics blending seamlessly into a single-player experience. By sharing your pawn online, you get rewards and knowledge from other players, creating a unique form of cooperative gameplay that doesn't require direct interaction. Dragon's Dogma 2 continues the mysterious, mythological storytelling that defined the first game. While details on the full narrative are still under wraps, we do know that the game expands upon the lore of the Arisen, the chosen one who must battle dragons and shape the fate of the world. Themes of destiny, sacrifice, and power remain central, but this time, Capcom is introducing more player choice into the mix. Decisions will have long-term consequences, shaping the fate of towns, NPCs, and even your own pawn. One of the most intriguing elements is the return of the dragon and the eternal cycle of the Arisen. Is this a direct sequel or a reimagining of the original's universe? That's a question players will need to uncover themselves as they progress through the game's deeply woven narrative. While Dragon's Dogma 2 stays true to its predecessor's core identity, it improves upon nearly every aspect. The game is built on the RE engine, delivering stunning visuals and a more dynamic open world. Enemies and pawns are smarter, making encounters feel less scripted and more reactive. More narrative depth and player agency, improved climbing, movement, and class variety. Dragon's Dogma 2 is shaping up to be one of the most immersive and unique RPGs of this generation. With its challenging combat, deep pawn system, and rich world building, it offers an experience that few other games can match. The real question is, will it find a larger audience this time around? The original was a cult classic that flew under the radar for many gamers. But in a world that has now embraced challenging, exploration-heavy RPGs like Elden Ring, Dragon's Dogma 2 might finally get the recognition it deserves. What do you think? Will Dragon